The first thing the young man does after being reborn is to watch helplessly as the woman he loves is harassed by a thug, and he not only fails to stop it. Instead, he deliberately calls all factory workers to come and watch, because in his previous life the young man, in order to protect the woman's reputation, encouraged by his co-workers, rushed into the broadcast room and fought the thug, and rescued the manipulative woman from the thug. He believed he was a hero rescuing a damsel in distress, but the manipulative woman repaid his kindness with ingratitude. She framed the young man as the one who had been abusing her, although in the end the factory director, for the sake of appearances, married his daughter to him. He had his house seized, lost his job for life, and carried the stigma. He only learned the truth on his deathbed. It turned out the manipulative woman had already become pregnant out of wedlock with the thug's child. The two had deliberately lured the young man in order to find a man to take responsibility. In the end, the young man closed his eyes in remorse and unwillingness. When he opened his eyes again, he had been reborn back to the day the manipulative woman was being harassed. At that moment, a co-worker suddenly came running in a rush, saying he had just seen the thug slip into the broadcast room, telling the young man to hurry and be the hero. The young man without hesitation followed the co-worker into the broadcast room. Seeing his co-worker so eager, a blaze of anger ignited in the young man's heart. In his previous life he had pleaded to prove his innocence, pleading with his co-workers to testify on his behalf, but to his surprise his co-workers took pleasure in his misfortune. They mocked him, saying he deserved it because they envied his status as a university student. They would seize the opportunity to ruin his future. As the co-worker was about to open the door, the young man suddenly stopped him, using the excuse that the manipulative woman was a girl. If anything happened, it would be better to have a female colleague to look after her. He told the co-worker to go and notify everyone first. He would go in now and rescue her immediately. The co-worker had been worrying about how to blow the matter up. Upon hearing the young man's words, he excitedly ran out to call others. By now the manipulative woman in the broadcast room had already regained consciousness. After recognizing the thug beside her, she was first startled. Then she immediately put on an embarrassed look, just as the young man had suspected. In the previous life the manipulative woman had not been forced at all, yet the young man foolishly rushed in to play the hero. The thug took advantage of the employees being in a meeting in the canteen, and intentionally handed the manipulative woman a spiked glass of red wine. After she drank it, she quickly became disoriented. Seeing his chance, the thug quickly pounced, and all of this was watched by the young man outside the door. By this time the co-worker had already brought colleagues to the doorway. His mother, thinking something had happened to him, also rushed over in panic. Seeing his mother's anxious face, the young man could not help feeling a pang of sorrow. In his previous life his mother had run around trying to clear his name, so much so that she died resentful before turning 50. In his new life he swore to repay the injustices his mother suffered twofold. The co-worker, noticing the young man still had not gone in, immediately showed a guilty look. Before the co-worker could speak, the young man jumped in to ask, saying on such an important day, how could the co-worker spread rumors and ruin the woman's reputation? The factory director's wife, upon hearing this, immediately demanded an explanation from the co-worker. The co-worker had no choice but to tell the truth, saying he had just heard someone acting indecently in the broadcast room. If you don't believe me, open the door and you'll see. The director's wife, upon hearing this, slapped the co-worker hard. This broadcast room is where her daughter works. How could anyone be behaving indecently? Seeing the two of them tearing into each other, the young man immediately poured fuel on the fire. He said there is a price to pay for spreading rumors. The co-worker, seeing he was being accused unjustly, immediately tried to open the door to prove his innocence. The young man hurriedly blocked the doorway, saying as long as he was here today the door must not be opened. The co-worker, upon hearing this, suddenly realized the truth, that the young man must have already made a move on the woman. He thought the young man was afraid of being found out and therefore would not allow the door to open. The director's wife, upon hearing this, was furious. She ordered the co-worker to fetch the woman's father. Unbeknownst to them, the young man had been waiting for that exact sentence. Coincidentally, investors were visiting the factory today. He intended to cement the woman's disgrace publicly. Minutes later the director arrived with others at the broadcast room. The co-worker immediately accused the young man of abusing the woman. They claimed that if they went in now the evidence would be conclusive. The director, on hearing this, ordered the young man to open the door immediately, otherwise he would expel the mother and son from the factory.